Hello and welcome to Newsround, where we do you a recap of stories that made headlines during the week. Coming up, Nigeria celebrates 64th independence anniversary. President Bola Tinubu announcing a 30-day confab for youths in the country to discuss and address challenges confronting them. Blogger Martins, also known as Very Dark Man, appears before House of Representatives panel over bribery allegations against the EFCC and Nigerian Correctional Service. At least 36 bodies recovered and missing as a boat carrying 300 capsizes in Niger State. Plus, at least 78 dead, scores missing as a ferry also capsizes on DRC Congo Lake. I'll begin news round with Nigeria's celebration of its 64th independence anniversary, which President Bola Tinubu led with an early morning broadcast, during which he announced a 30-day confab for the youth in the country to discuss and address challenges confronting them. According to the president, the conference will, among other matters, discuss issues around education, employment, innovation, securing the social justice. While acknowledging the economic hardship experienced by citizens, President Tinubu restates his commitment to addressing the challenges of high cost of living.
The presidential broadcast is an integral part of the Independence Day celebration in Nigeria. And as Nigerians mark the 64th independence anniversary, President Bola Tinubu addresses the nation.
Fellow Nigerians.
First, President Tinubu acknowledges the economic hardship experienced by citizens, such as the rising cost of living, unemployment, and insecurity challenges. He promised to address them soon.
As I address it today, I am deeply aware of the struggles many of you face in these challenging times. Our administration knows that many of you struggle with rising costs and the search for meaningful employment. My fellow Nigerians, please be assured that we are implementing many measures to reduce the cost of living at home.
Aside from the issues of economic hardship, President Tinubu announces plans for a national youth conference aimed at discussing issues affecting young Nigerians and addressing them.
We lead today with the future we wish to bequeath to our children in focus, recognizing that we cannot design a future that belongs to them without making them its architects. Considering this, I am pleased to announce the gathering of a national youth conference. This conference will be a platform to address the diverse challenges and opportunities confronting our young people. The government will thoroughly consider and implement the recommendations and outcomes from this forum as we remain resolute in our mission to build a more inclusive, prosperous, and united Nigeria.
Some of the issues that President Tinubu promised to discuss at the National Youth Conference include education, social justice, employment, innovation, and security. Speaking to matters related to political reforms, President Tinubu insists on the implementation of the Supreme Court's judgment on local government autonomy.
As part of our efforts to re-engineer our political economy, we are resolute in our determination to implement the Supreme Court judgment on the financial autonomy of local government.
The president further highlighted the progress made in the fight against insecurity, fiscal policies, divestment in the oil and gas sector, as well as government's responses to natural disasters, such as the recent flooding in some parts of the country. As Nigerians across the country mark the 64th Independence Day anniversary, the coming days are expected to unveil the impact of the plans and initiatives of the government to address the nation's challenges.
And on the Independence Day, members of the Revolution Now movement took to the streets of Lagos to protest the state of the nation's economy. The October 1st, 2024 protest, tagged Fearless in October, was propagated on social media some 2 months after the August End Bad Governance protest. Despite the presence of heavy security personnel, protesters gathered at Ikeja Underbridge before marching to the Gani Fawemi Park, chanting solidarity songs and making stops at intervals. The demonstrators presented a list of demands, including an immediate removal of fuel subsidy.
It's a new day and month, and of course, Nigeria's Independence Day anniversary. But Lagosians are out at the Ikeja Underbridge to protest over the growing hunger and other economic hardship. Bearing placards with different inscriptions, they voice their concerns.
Bandit that you are being charged with is a fraud. Yes. And this is my point.
And the arrival of human rights activist Omoyele Sowore spurs the crowd. There is a heavy presence of security officers, and this is perhaps a litmus test for the new Commissioner of Police, Olarewaju Ishola, who is also on the ground.
Police on the ground to make sure that peace reigns here. I promise to protect them. We are doing that, and also promise that no harm will come the way of any other person who is in the business here.
Businesses face increased risk during social unrest, and that's why some shops are possibly closed, while others take their chances.
So after protesting for about 3 hours at the Ikeja Underbridge, the protesters are now marching, leaving the area to the Ojota Park, and they say the protest is partyless, it is stripeless, and one more thing, it is fearless.
There are two groups of protesters here. The hashtag End Bad Governance movement, led by Comrade Hassan Taiwo, better known as Soweto, and Omoyele Sowore's Revolution Now protesters. However, both appear divided as they march to Ojota in separate clusters. The groups arrive at the Gani Fawemi Park with a list of demands to the country's leadership.
The president must free all the detainees. The protesters that were arrested on the 5 from on the 1 of August to on the 10. The issue is this: Nigeria is hungry, and an hungry man is an angry man. None of our demands, whether with regards to fuel price or electricity tariff or naira devaluation, have been met. That floating of the naira should be reversed, because that is what led us into all this. The inflation we are facing is an import cost push inflation, and again, the reversal of the fuel subsidy. Energy cost is the cost that affects virtually 90% of the whole economy.
And what's next for the protesters?
Today's protest is a warning. It's a one-day action. But if our demands are not met this time around, then the government should be ready for regular action every few weeks. Because the Nigerian people will not stop marching until we are free.
So it's Nigeria's 64th independence anniversary, and what a way to spend the day. But for the protesters and demonstrators here at the Gani Fawemi Park, there is the determination to keep pressing their concerns and demands, and they say they won't stop in the coming weeks and days until their demands are absolutely met. From the Gani Fawemi Park here in Lagos, Nigeria, Kelly Egiga, Channels Television News.
And now to other top stories in the week. The House of Representatives has commenced investigation into the bribery and corruption allegations against the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and the Nigerian Correctional Service. The Controller General of Prisons and officers involved in the allegations who appeared before the committee denied all allegations, while the commission informed the committee that the onus of proving this allegation against officials of the commission rests squarely on Idris Okuneye, also known as Bobrisky, who was absent, and social critic Martins, also known as Very Dark Man.
The investigation of alleged bribery and corruption against the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and the Correctional Service gets underway in the House of Representatives. The Commission, the Service, and social media influencer Martin Zotze, also known as Very Dark Man, are present, while the man in the eye of the storm, Idris Okuneye, also known as Bobrisky, is absent. Very Dark Man refuses to address the committee in the absence of Bobrisky, who sent a lawyer instead, and the committee responds.
The powers of this House cannot be taken for granted, and we will not allow it. So I will plead to you to go ahead. Nobody should deceive you. And I want to plead with your lawyer. You see, we invited him, not you. You've been raising your hand. We are in charge here. I want to move a motion that the witness refusing to answer to the parliament, the sergeant at arms should be called to arrest and detain the witness because it's part of the powers you have to invoke. We expect you to talk to us, but where you refuse, we can invoke the constitutional powers we have here.
So it's obvious that there's a godfather somewhere that might maybe told him not to come, and nothing will happen because he has disrespected everybody here by not coming, and you are trying to force me to talk, and you are already throwing a little threat that you detain me. I'll stay in the cell, and this is not my first time, it's not my second time.
Time goes by and his lawyer prevails on him to address the committee.
I'll give you one part of it, then maybe when another time, I can give you the complete audio.
The lawmakers then turn their attention to the Nigeria Correctional Service as the officer in charge of the medium correctional facility Kirikiri, Lagos, where Bobrisky was incarcerated, addresses the allegations against the service.
Idris Okuneye Olarewaju, though male, had some female features like a breast. He has a breast. Yes. This is the original of the medical examination done by the facility's medical practitioner, a qualified doctor. Then he arrived at the conclusion that we have to put him in a protective custody, which we did. And he spent his time at medium, the 10 days, in our P-ward room 2.
He alludes to the fact that Bobrisky's crime did not require him to be moved to a maximum facility, yet he was transferred by the Lagos controller.
On the 22nd, I was not available in the facility. I went to the people. When my controller put a call across and told me that he is moving him to maximum on security, for security reasons.
The issue of the suspension of the correctional officers involved gets even more complicated as the lawmakers press further, especially as the officers attended the hearing dressed in their uniforms.
Are you under suspension? No letter was given to me to that effect. Are you under suspension? There was a press release, so they just serve you a letter and tell you to go home. They didn't serve me a letter, sir. In social media suspension,
The lawmakers demand for video recording from the medium and maximum security facilities. Meanwhile, on the allegation of bribery against the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the prosecutor who handles the case explains the reason for dropping the money laundering charges.
When he elected to plead guilty in court in the morning, and having at the back of our mind that he response from the Special Control Unit against money laundering, saying that the Bob Express that we're charging for not rendering returns is not qualified to be a designated non-financial business and professionals provided under the Money Laundering Act.
The steps taken by the prosecution in proceeding to drop counts 5 and 6, which is akin to amendment of the charges, can take place at any time before judgment is not alien. It's not alien, as the Commission has, in numerous instances, caused charges to be amended.
The investigation is adjourned sine die as the committee resolves to send a second invitation to Bobrisky after his lawyer, who was present at the hearing, informed the committee that his client had fallen ill. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
And when Newsround returns, President Tinubu forwards tax reform bills to the National Assembly. Details after the break. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. Well, to other major stories now. The National Assembly has received President Bola Tinubu's communication seeking consideration and passage of the proposed fiscal policy and tax reform bill to align with the ongoing financial reforms of the federal government and enhance efficiency in tax compliance. The bills are the Nigeria Tax Bill 2024, which is expected to provide the fiscal work for tax in the country, and the Tax Administration Bill, which will provide clear and concise legal framework for all taxes in the country and reduce disputes. Others are the Nigeria Revenue Service Establishment Bill, which will repeal the Federal Inland Revenue Service Act and establish the Nigeria Revenue Service, and the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Bill, which will create a tax tribunal and a tax ombudsman.
Lawmakers in the upper legislative chamber reconvene for plenary on the last legislative day of the week. The President of the Senate presents a communication from President Bola Tinubu submitting 4 tax reform bills to the Senate.
The Nigeria Revenue Service Establishment Bill repeals the Federal Inland Revenue Service Establishment Act number 13 of 2007 and establishes the Nigeria Revenue Service to assess, collect, and account for revenue accruable to the government of the Federation.
The President's letter is also read in the House of Representatives.
The Nigerian tax bill, which should provide a consolidated fiscal framework for taxation in Nigeria.
Separately, after 3 months of suspension, the South-South Development Bill, kicked against by a majority of the lawmakers, is once again resuscitated.
Mission that is exclusively dedicated to a region that understands our unique issues and can craft tailored solutions for them, just like the other 5 geopolitical regions.
In a sharp turnaround, lawmakers began canvassing for its passage.
Each of the 6 geopolitical zones in this country seemingly would have their own development commission. So excluding the South-South might appear to be a sort of injustice. There goes a saying that what is good for the goose is also good for the gander.
The NDDC that some people may say is already there. It's not a geopolitical commission created. It was created to manage the issues of development and crisis emanating from oil-producing communities.
Other lawmakers mute the idea for an alteration of the name and membership of the Niger Delta Development Commission.
The name and the act should be changed, right, to now include other oil-producing areas that are not in the present NDDC act.
States that will eventually produce oil in commercial quantities should be allowed to join the NDDC. There is no doubt about that because it's resource-based.
Separately, a bill for an act to establish the Police Service Commission Training Institute also scaled second reading. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
And scores are feared dead after a boat carrying about 300 passengers capsized at the notorious Gbajúmọ̀ River in Mokwa local government area of Niger State. Statement by the press secretary to the council chairman of Mokwa local government, Mr. Abubakar Dakani, explains that the boat was traveling from Mundi to Gbajúmọ̀ for the annual Maulud celebration when tragedy struck. The Niger State Emergency Management Agency says 36 bodies have so far been recovered from the Niger boat accident. In SEMA's Director, Relief and Rehabilitation, Mr. Saliu Garba told Channels Television that the likely cause of the accident was overloading and that no one is sure of the exact number of people that boarded the ill-fated boat.
None of the 300 squeezed into this overloaded boat was clairvoyant. They had no inkling of the tragedy that awaited them. Not all of these travelers came out alive when tragedy struck. 2 days after this misfortune, efforts are still ongoing to retrieve dead bodies and perhaps rescue anyone alive.
Nobody can exactly tell you the number of individuals that were on that boat for now, because even the boat driver I cannot or could not tell us exactly the number of people that boarded that boat. What we are trying to do at the moment, we're still searching for more bodies, as I said earlier, and we have opened a record book where anybody who have a relative missing or who have somebody who have traveled on that route should come and register, so that at the end of the whole exercise, we would be able to know how many missing people do we still have, and those that we have recovered.
36 dead bodies have been recovered as of 6 p.m. today, and the rescuers are not soft-pedaling. Some nagging questions are unanswered though. For instance, why will about 300 people be allowed to be crammed into a boat designed to accommodate less? And what is the agency empowered to regulate boat travel doing to ensure compliance?
The primary cause of this was as a result of overloading. That boat was not supposed to have carried more than 100 or 150 passengers. Considering the old age of that boat, NIWA has the responsibility of regulating transport. Inland waterways transportation, and also enforcing it as well. There is a bill before the State House of Assembly to ensure that laws are made that will enforce discipline. Penalties for those that go against laid down rules that we share safety in these waterways.
The Niger State Emergency Management Agency says it is collaborating with the National Inland Waterways Authority to ensure seafaring safety. The hope is that this synergy results in safety and ultimately a drastic reduction in boat accidents.
And still in Niger State, over 300 communities are flooded, and estimated 5 million locals sacked from their homes. Channels Television gathered that the women and children are now taking shelter upland, converting schools to camps for internally displaced persons, while they're also faced with acute water shortage. During a tour of some of the affected communities, Channels Television visited Jifu and Murigi, which are located on the bank of the confluence of rivers Niger and Kaduna in the area.
Flood water has taken over some communities in Mokwa and Mashegu local government areas of Niger State. Children wade through the water, oblivious of the implications. According to the Niger State Emergency Management Agency, over 3,000 communities are affected by the flood, which is the result of the latest heavy downpour in the area. Aside from the concerns of disease outbreak, the victims are concerned that the disaster has only worsened their economic situation.
We are already in a dire situation with economic challenges occasioned by the fuel subsidy removal. We are already worried over the poor yield in our farm, and we are now experiencing flood washing away our fields.
Our community is always at the verge of flood because we are at the center of the River Niger and Kaduna. This time, we are sacked from our homes and we are now taking shelter in this school. Our cry is for the government to support us with essentials like food.
While livestock farmers are unable to tend to the animals, crop farmers are counting their losses. The statement from the emergency agency estimates that over 118,000 hectares of farmlands were washed away. Though the latest disaster has not led to the loss of lives, the local government chairman is calling for help.
Anytime that there is an discharge as a result of overflow from the dams, it affects us largely compared to any other community that is a bit far away from the riverbank. The effect this year is very much because so far houses have been submerged, farmlands have been washed away, a lot of animals have been killed, though we've not recorded any death this year. Some schools and primary health care as well has also been submerged.
Meanwhile, the state government has deployed an impact assessment team to the area. For now, the victims are taking shelter in some of the schools in the area.
We are Newsround in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, where at least 78 people have died after a ferry capsized on Lake Kivu, just a few hundred meters from its destination. The boat is traveling from the port of Minova in South Kivu and sank as it was arriving on Goma's shore on Thursday. According to the regional governor, Jean-Jacques Parisi, there were 278 passengers on board, 40 of whom were rescued. And those are the top stories for the week. Thank you for watching. I'm Ladi Williams. Bye for now.